Time being 9:01, I call the meeting to order, please. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Judy, Commissioner Judy. Is there a second? Is there a second to approve the agenda?
I will approve the agenda as written.
Okay, second. Any discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion is carried. The minutes. Would somebody make a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Storley. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Chomey. Is there any other discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. That motion is carried. Public comments. Comments are please be limited to agenda items today on our that are listed. Any oral comments, written statements, or documents regarding county employees must be directed to the Human Resources Office, not here. Is that clear?
What would you like us to talk about? The weather?
Whatever's on our agenda today.
Okay, I'll read. This is connected to the agenda. I'm concerned about the efforts in connection with the draft ordinance, which is on the agenda, of three of you to loosen regulations on non-conforming mines. State Statute 394.36 Subdivision 2 reads, in part, that the board may regulate to control and, quote, provide for the gradual elimination, end quote, of non-conforming entities. Houston County's zoning ordinance, Section 9, non-conforming uses, 0110.0901, intent and general application, subdivision 2, says the ordinance is not intended to, quote, encourage the survival, end quote, of non-conforming uses. In other words, the county ordinance and the state statute are in agreement. Non-conforming uses are not to be protected, but rather eliminated. Given that agreement between state law and county law, it is hard to understand why some of you have insisted upon loosening the restrictions on non-conforming mines in the new draft ordinance. That seems to defy the sense of the law. If the point is to eliminate non-conforming mines, why not hold them to tighter standards than the regularly permitted mines? When you insist on weakening the standards applicable to non-conforming mines, you are acting contrary to both state statute and the county's own ordinance. You are, in fact, attempting to avoid the law, to act contrary to the law, to act illegally. Why?
Kelly Stanage, Houston Township. Good morning, Commissioners. I am here this morning to request compliance with the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act. I started to try to get some specific information on active mines in Houston County almost 2 months ago in an email to Rick Frank. Rick Frank said in his reply, we figure that there are 47 mines that are currently being utilized in the county. Dan Griffin referred to that same 47 mines in his comments during your county board meeting on March 3rd. Check the minutes. I asked for a list of those 47 mines. Since then, I have received only, after several messages to several different people in the county, including the auditor, multiple different pages of different documents, none of which identify the 47 active mines in the county. In a message on March 6th, Ms. Miner says in reference to her conversation with Mr. Frank's office, Holly mentioned that there was some confusion as to the numbers you referred to, even though I had forwarded Frank's message where he identifies the number 47. I subsequently received a message from Rick Frank which stated, "I had Bob put together a memo that explains how Ron Miners and he came up with that approximate number of quarries. There was no list put together, but estimates on the number and the approximate size of open pits or quarries in the county for the study committee." So it appears the department and the zoning administrator are asserting that during the last 3-year study of mining, all they have been able to ascertain is that there are an estimate of 47 or maybe 50 active mines, and no one has taken the trouble to write down which mines these are. I am again requesting that my questions be answered, this time from the Data Practices Officer for the county. Please furnish this information at your earliest convenience.
Okay. I'm Jack Knight. I believe you've seen me here before. I'm here representing Alamogee County government. And our county officials are still concerned about potential traffic and transloading through Alamogee County as a result of potential active mining in Houston County. Our zoning administrator would be willing to take a meeting with either your board or Dan Griffith about writing a protective ordinance. I'm not necessarily here touting exactly what we've done in Alamogee County. Maybe that was misunderstood before. But we're more than willing to work with you on writing a more complete or comprehensive ordinance than the ones that you've had proposed here. And I would also be willing to go to our other county officials and staff. For instance, our county engineer, road person, he was involved in writing our ordinance, and arrange meetings with similar positions here, if and when you decide to go with a more comprehensive ordinance. So I'm just here to offer our cooperation. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robin Shumper, La Crescent Township. I haven't come very often lately for a lot of reasons, but I have been watching the videos, and I was quite appalled when I watched last week's video that when the buzzer went off, the sheriff's deputy immediately started cutting off Brian Van Gorp and threatened to haul him out of the room, meaning that we can't even go over a few seconds of our 2 minutes. And now today you tell us that we cannot talk about anything that isn't on the agenda. Well, this is regarding public comments, which is on the agenda, so I want to make that point. You know, we're not allowed to call and get on the agenda with an item. We're not allowed to now address any comments that aren't on the agenda. And I don't know if you're aware, but the past few weeks, a lot of talk has been on the TV and the radio about Bloody Sunday at Selma, Alabama, and you've got the film out now on Selma, which I have not seen, by the way. But it feels, you know, it's not quite that extreme, but it feels like we're being, because we're dissenters, because you don't like what we have to say. I'm sorry to include the two of you, because I know you do listen to us, Commissioner Zemeski and Shomi. But how dare you not want to listen to the public, even though you don't agree with us, and that you cut us off at the knees and you don't even let us address you with things that are of concern to us, even if they are apparently not of concern to you. You feel like I don't know what you think. I can't get into your heads, but it's clear to me, especially reading what's on your consent agenda today, that you don't want to discuss what isn't, in your personal interest, even though you've had hundreds of citizens come to you who, by the way, are not necessarily our friends. They're just people who are concerned about the same issue, which is the frac sand mining.
Hey, Donna Buckney, Yucatan Township. I wasn't going to speak today, but then just on the consent agenda, I'm noticing a discriminatory way of dealing with the pro-ban supporters versus the free-for-all pro-mining supporters. And that's just with item number 4 under consent agenda. I would remind you that a couple months ago when the Money Creek Town Board sent a unanimous letter in support of a countywide ban, it was not described here. It was just very kind of generic, saying the letter from the Money Creek Town Board. And so we had to ask, and actually read it into the record at the public comment period. Well, wasn't that a letter supporting a countywide ban? But now I'm seeing this is a resolution telling Commissioner Chomey to vote to adopt the Houston County Planning Commission recommendations on changes to the zoning order. How discriminatory is this? And you're also using law enforcement again to promote your agenda instead of the right of the people to be heard.
Right on.
Jeremy Chips, La Crescent, Minnesota. Commissioners, I am a licensed insurance agent in Minnesota. Although I cannot speak for the Minnesota Counties Intergovernmental Trust, nor do I represent them, both Attorney Ed Walsh and I have reviewed the liability coverage. The county commissioners in Houston County would be covered by the MCIT agreement for any litigation and or claim directed toward them against them if the county properly enacts an ordinance prohibiting frac sand mining. The 92-page agreement states coverage clearly. Thus, going forward, commissioners, you can confidently let people in the county and the county staff know that we do have liability protection in the event a lawsuit is ever filed. The coverage will be provided to defend the county. If you continue promoting the opposite, please note we will be asking you to provide written documentation from MCIT stating that they would not cover same. In Minnesota, insurance rules are very, very strict. Our state is known for high ethical standards, and the county government should be aware. 2, commissioners, you have a fiduciary duty to your constituents in the county itself to do that which promotes the health, safety, and well-being of the county and its residents. You have been presented with both documentation and testimony of what represents serious risk and peril to things such as our health, air quality, water resources, and even serious road dangers, all from an industry with an ever-growing evidence of being out of compliance. You've been informed of potential future losses to our local economies, including what would result in ever-surging taxes to maintain large parts of our infrastructure. Yet to date, it's been ignored by this commission and absent in discussion by your agents in planning and zoning who review little. The in-depth findings of the research committee lack. Comments from the county health representative, Mary Marshall, have been generally ignored. You are now on notice about MCIT coverage. Please take the proper and prudent ethical steps, put forward the ban, return to it, and vote in an ordinance prohibiting frac sand mining in Houston County. The findings of facts and conclusion prepared by County Attorney Young contain all that the county needs to legally and properly support a ban prohibition ordinance. Please now consider those as an addendum to my statement here. In order to show our minors, please enter those same findings from Mr. Young, ban findings, into this document here. Thank you.
Thank you. Quiet. Enough.
I'm Sue Van Gore from Yucatan Township. Have you heard the 3 biggest lies in Houston County? Lie number 1 is we can't ban frac sand mining because we will get sued. The truth is both the county attorney and the county's consulting land use attorneys said the opposite. Both said you could ban frac sand mining as long as you had a reason supported by the finding of facts. All of this is on videotape. The county attorney has provided the finding of facts. The truth is the county is about equally likely to be sued whatever their decision, and there is no guarantee of winning or losing either way. Lie number 2, they want strict regulation, not a ban. The truth is any kind of regulation has a prerequisite of monitoring, enforcing, and compliance. The truth is that that has never happened in Houston County. It is an oxymoron to think that regulation would be enforced here. Lie number 3, if we ban a certain type of mining, it would constitute a taking from the people. The truth is that it is just weird that you would be so concerned about taking the right to a certain kind of mining from one property owner and have no concern about taking the rights of property value, peace and quiet, beauty, clean air, clean water, and quality of life from several neighboring property owners. Now that we have exposed these lies, would you please quit using them as an excuse for not doing the will of the people?
Comments?
Good morning, Commissioners. Ken Shumper from La Crescent Township. I'm looking at the items under the consent agenda, number 1 and number 4. I've been informed by people that I know in Spring Grove, Wilmington, Winnebago, and Black Hammer Township that these resolutions were the result of actions by Planning Commission Chairman Dan Griffin circulating a resolution or some sort of thing. If you read over the ethics code of Houston County employees, that's a direct violation of the ethics code by Dan Griffin, and I will be filing an ethics complaint against him this week.
You know, we asked you not to make those kind of comments, and please in the future don't. Public comments over.
Bruce Chemical, Caledonia,
That's,
Minnesota.
we're finished. Take your seat, please.
Can we take a?
Proceed with our meeting. Please be seated.
We have
still got a minute and a half to go.
17:30 is when 15 minutes is up. And I'll take the time to be added to Bruce's.
I
Brian,
have
do you
before
wanna
me
come
a
ahead?
copy from
Call
Rick
Brian.
Frank
Sorry,
that tells
he's
me
not
the
doing
number of
it.
quarries with
No.
CUPs, 4 of which are out of
Bruce, would you please sit
compliance
down?
with not having a reclamation plan. And according to section
Point of
27,
order.
revocation of permit,
Allow the man to speak.
the zoning administrator shall certify non-compliance of the Board of Commissioners.
we
Have
take
you
a
received that
recess.
from the administrator?
Motion to recess?
Is there a second?
Notice of violation, the Board of Commissioners shall
Second
give
to
notice
recess?
to said permit owner, set forth the provision of the section being
Need an
violated.
officer
Have
here.
you sent to Mr. James Chappell, to Porteous Olson, to Rover Root Construction, and to David Pieper Bonanza Grain that they are in violation, that they should be shut down now?
Engineer Pogozinski, would you please come up?
Morning, Commissioners. Submitted a request to have the board approve a detour agreement in Yucatan Township for our County State Highway 13 project. We're going to need to use a detour across Mooly Cooley Road. The detour agreement has went through our county attorney and also over to Yucatan Township. They both reviewed and approved the language in the agreement.
Real quick, Brian, so you're gonna go up Mooly Cooley, is there anything for going up Chisholm too? Or anything for
we
the
are
people
gonna-
on the other side?
Mooly Cooley Road, yes. Chisholm Road, there is one house, I believe, that we're going to put some chloride down in front of that house along the roadway. Besides for that,
We're good.
nothing else.
Sure.
So I'm just going to...
Have a bring an officer.
Okay. So I'm going to recommend that the board approves the detour agreement and then, or I guess gives me authorization to sign off and administer the road use agreement.
Sure, I'll move that we authorize the detour agreement for County Highway 13.
Motion made, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Cholme. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. That motion is carried.
When does that project start, Brian?
We're going to start charging working days as soon as the road bans come off, or April 15th, whichever is later. The contractor is telling us they're looking at probably won't be until mid-May before they get out there to start.
And what's the projection for how long that's gonna take?
I don't remember working days on me.
That's fine, I've had a couple of people ask, and I have no idea what the projection is.
I'm going to guess, it's going to take 3.5 to 4 months.
Okay.
Hopefully it's quicker than that.
Sure.
Sometime this fall.
Cool, thanks, Brian.
You know, on that Mooly Cooley Road, there's, where that farm is in the middle of the road, there's a dip there, put in cement.
Yep.
It's, maybe a dip, maybe a sign telling them that's coming up.
We
because,
might put in a sign, I think.
I'm guilty
yes.
of that, when it's hitting it a little too fast.
Yeah, the first time you drive it, that dip gets hit.
You really bottom up. But I know why they put that thing in there, there's a lot of washout there, but
Yep.
maybe a little sign there would help slow them down, because slow them down through there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Human Services.
Morning.
Good morning.
We are minus one person this morning. And so we're doing fine. We've had 2 days in now. But, well, we're working on it and finding out all kinds of things. Mostly what I would like to update you about, and it's a pretty big change, is our CREST funding. CREST is, and don't ask me what CREST stands for, I know it has a long lingo, it's another one of those acronyms. It's adult mental health funding. It isn't all of our adult mental health funding, but it's a large part of it. And the state of Minnesota, what we have right now is we have a host county, and Olmsted County has always been our host county. Olmsted, with that, has always worried about the rules, the regs, and how to distribute the funding. We, as a region, there are 10 counties that belong to CREST, and the 10 counties pretty much follow the rules Olmsted gives us. This past year, Olmsted was audited by the state, and as fiscal host, and how the funding and all that gets divided up, and the rules and regs that go along with that. The state doesn't like the way Olmsted has been doing it the last however many years. I think about 2000 is the year 2000 is when CREST funding started. So anyway, we are watching a redesign of how Olmsted County will continue to be the fiscal host and will continue to decide how the money is spent. Some of the big changes with this, 2015 is going to be a transition year. So individually before, we did what we all were supposed to do. We did our own reporting, all that kinds of things. We paid our own CREST bills. We were reimbursed by CREST. There's been quite a bit of controversy on how the money should be divided up. I will say that finally got settled for 2015 at this past Friday's meeting, and they decided we should divide it by population base, because depending on before that, what was happening was some of the counties were overcoding to CREST funds, some were undercoding and not tapping into all the funding they could have used, although they were probably using it, but maybe coding wrong. And then there were some counties in the middle who were recording what they spent, and then when they were done with their allotment of money, they quit recording. So what had tried to take place last fall then was for 2015, some of the counties who had over-recorded and over-coded were trying to get more of the money. Well, you know, we are a smaller county, so normally we wouldn't get as much as, say, in Olmsted. However, we all have probably per capita a similar amount of adults who need mental health funds. So anyway, long story short, we, as a group, the 10 counties voted to divide the CREST money via population method, comparing the percentage of population with the amount of total funds available. We end up with a little bit over $100,000, which is really good, because there was a point they were going to give us $62,000 or something last year, which would be really bad. When they divided by population, it was interesting how some of it worked. I want to say like Goodhue County ended up with a large increase. Winona County ended up dropping down considerably over $100,000. So anyway, the group decided the most fair method was by population, because we all have the need, and no matter how you code, we all have the need. So we will make sure we code to our fullest extent and spend the money we're given, and we always have. So that's a really, actually very positive thing with the funding. One of the biggest changes with the CREST funding in 2016 is we will no longer pay our own bills. The larger bills that go to like some of the larger health organizations, such as like Hiawatha Valley, Zumbro Valley, those places, Olmsted County will become the true fiscal host, and they will be paying those bills. Along with that, we have what they call a maintenance of effort. Every county has to spend a minimum amount of money, and ours is a pretty large amount of money. I think ours is over $500,000 a year toward mental health funds, and those have to be county dollars spent. And we have to do that in order to get state or federal funds that come into our county. We promise then our half of it. We have to have skin in the game, I guess that's what they would call that. So anyway, our maintenance of effort will change if Olmsted takes over paying some of those bills. So that would say, hopefully, our maintenance of effort gets reduced. That, I think, is a good thing. In 2015, we're going to have a social work supervisor, and in the interim, we are going to have a social worker attend meetings that are designing the new plan. Along with that, we also need to have a fiscal person there, so our fiscal officer will be attending these meetings too. The first one is April 8th, and there are just a lot of different things that all need to be designed, and we have to do this with the instruction of the State of Minnesota Auditor's Office helping. And each, like I say, each county will have two representatives there. The other thing they will have, they will have quarterly meetings where our social work supervisor and then a consumer, a person who receives mental health benefits, either them or, say, a family member, a relative of theirs, will be represented on a board. The consumer will have a vote, and our social work supervisor will have a vote. Until we have a social work supervisor, we will have the same social worker who's going to be on the design committee be on the voting committee, so that every county has a bigger voice in how the process is run and the funding and how the funding will be spent. There are restrictions on how the funding is spent right now. So I'm not sure how much leeway we get that way, but at least we will have good representation there for us. So that's actually a very good positive thing to the consumer, and of course the social worker is paid by the county, but the consumer doesn't get paid for this, so it could be kind of hard to find a consumer. I'm not sure how that'll work. We haven't done it yet, but we will be on that and get that taken care of. And lastly, the main thing is the corrective action plan was sent to the host county, which is Olmsted. So we all, as other counties, basically followed those instructions and did what we were supposed to do. And the whole state of Minnesota is divided up into, I want to say, it's either 11 or 12 regions. I think it's 12, as far as counties into groups. And our region is number 10. There were 3 regions in the state of Minnesota who received this finding and an audit, and all 3 need to redesign their programs. So there's 3 of us that are in this process. It's a good process. I think it's going to make things, I think, just a little more fair. There'll be more control by Olmsted County, actually, on how the funds are spent, but there will be more uniformity within our entire region on how each county spends their funds. And that's where the redesign group will come in and say, we want money geared towards, say, like more housing, or whatever it happens to be. So that's a big change, and that's really the main thing I wanted to bring today. So if you have any questions about that? Not at the moment. There'll be more down the road, I'm sure. So
I just have a lot of data for you guys today. We did receive our 2014 Minnesota Child Support Performance Report. Our child support unit, their main roles are to locate parents, establish parentage, establish court orders for basic support, medical support, child care support, enforce court orders, review and modify the court orders that they have, enforce support when one parent does not live in Minnesota, and then collect and process support payments. As usual, my staff did a wonderful job. Some areas they went up a little bit, some they went down, but when you kind of look at the big picture, we have really maintained and have maintained for years. That staff does an amazing job. They work with the county attorney's office. They work with the sheriff's department with getting service done and things like that. And I just wanted to share some of those numbers with you. With establishing paternity, the way we've chosen to do it in the state of Minnesota, our numbers are usually can be over 100%, which I was always like, how is that? But the way we do that. So right now we're currently at 105% in our establishments, which makes us 23rd in the state, which I think is really, really, it's a huge deal. And we are above the state average with that. State average is 100% on that. The other is with our orders that are established. They are currently at 96%, and that just shows they've got 657 cases that are open with orders that are established so that we can get support coming in. I did just see one of my social workers, or excuse me, child support workers in the hallway, and collections are a big thing. She's had a couple different clients in the last day. She'll have gotten $7,000 in payments on arrears and collections. So the work they do is really vital when we look at that. Our current collection numbers, we are at 76.4%. So of our orders, we are getting payments on 76. And just so you know, last year they distributed $1.6 million in child support to the cases that they serve. So a lot of money coming in, and that's just on the current support. On arrears, we are currently at 75%. The arrears are a little bit harder. Those are people that we can't always find. We do have, one case can really affect our numbers. There's one case that we're looking at collecting $40,000 in arrears through a settlement. So one case can really affect how we look from year to year. So, and then, let's see, I kind of talked about this one already. Yeah. And then total collections, so between arrears and the current support, we're at almost $1 million in support. So they keep busy. We have noticed with our MA referrals not being there, our case numbers have dropped a little bit, but we're still not sure. We had a meeting, and it sounds like there'll be another year before any medical referrals may start coming through. But this just takes time, or gives them time to look at modifications. There's certain criteria that have to be met. And it's really allowing them to go in and look at collections and work on the arrears cases. Plus, we're trying to get ready for when our referrals start to come through again. So there's still a lot going on there, but they continue to maintain and to do amazing work. So just wanted to kind of let you know on that. And this report is out on the DHS website. There's a lot of information. I don't know if you want, I can send a link out to it. If you want that, please. Oh, excuse me, let me know. The financial world too, I've got some performance numbers. And I think part of this comes into play. Starting on Monday, we have our SNAP management review starting, and she'll be here Monday and Wednesday, so it's a 2-day review. We have to send approximately 35 cases to the state, and then she comes in Monday, watches staff, sits in on interviews, kind of sees what our processes are. Customer service is a big part of it, so how quickly we're getting people in and seen. And then on Wednesday, there's multiple sessions. There's a technical session where we kind of look through, process what we can do better. It's kind of a learning session. And then there is our exit interview, which Linda will be at, and we will have staff at that. But just to kind of let you know, there are certain guidelines. So like with food and MFIP issuances, we have a 30-day window that we need to do that. And we work, and we are doing very well with that. The goal is 96%, and we, over the course of 2014, we're at just about 95%. So we're just close. For a county our size, one case can put us out of compliance on that. But in the second quarter of 2014, we're at 97%. Third quarter, we were at 100%, and then fourth quarter, we were at 93%. So they are doing really well with that. When we look at expedited, so people that come in that don't have food, don't have resources, we have a 5-day window in which to get their benefits issued. We are currently at, for fourth quarter of 2014, we were at 95%. Overall in 2014, we did dip down to 89% for the whole year, but when I started to look at the reasons behind that, I ran a lot of 2014 short-staffed, and catching these expedited is really truly getting it to see people as soon as they walk in the door. Sometimes that's our only opportunity. Some of it, we have one little screening tool on our applications. If people don't put the correct information there, if they report their income higher than what it truly is, some of those things we can't control, but hopefully we'll be fully staffed for most of this next year, so we can kind of look and see what we're doing. And we're trying to accommodate that and get people seen faster. So it's just kind of shifting our work duties with that. The other part that they look at are, we've got IVS notices. We get matches from different agencies, the IRS, the new hires, where we get matched. There's a new hire system that everybody has to report into, so we get data matches there. With those, we have to clear 80% of them. So it looks at Maxis, it looks at these other databases and make sure our information matches. And we are currently at 94%, so we need to have them cleared within 45 days, and we're doing that on 94% of our cases. We also get hits between other states with people that are receiving benefits, so it's another way to double check, is somebody getting benefits in another state while they're still getting in Minnesota. And those are called Paris matches, and we are currently at 100% of those. So we have 45 days to do that as well. The compliance rate is 80%, and we are getting 100% of those in as well. So staff is just really working hard. SNAP is such a big deal because it is one of the last programs that we can get bonus money from the federal government. If we meet certain criteria, the state does share 25% of that with the counties. There's always a different breakdown. At least they're doing that for now. So it is another way for us to bring down. That's how we paid for our extra monitors, the bigger monitors that we work with. So we really strive to make those numbers so we can get some revenue coming back in. And then the last is our MNsure caseload. We're currently at 588 cases. We're going through the last 2 sets of conversions, so we'll get another 123. So by the time conversion is done, we'll have 711 cases within our MNsure system. Still trying to get all the bugs worked out, and we'll have a few more things that we can do. So hopefully we can get that system stabilized and working like it should be. So that's kind of where we're at.
You see, you've got one case that owes $40,000, is that right?
Yeah,
We
it's
do?
an arrears.
Yeah.
There's arrears case, and there's
Is there
yeah. Well, we've got cases that owe more than that. on
Oh, really?
arrears.
Okay.
Yeah.
More
That's
than you
just,
think.
it's one that for the last year they've been really working on, and the non-custodial parent has a monthly accrual that's quite high. But it hasn't asked, they haven't asked for modification. So when we look at that, when you owe $1,400 a month and you don't make payments, the
That adds up.
accruals really, so they really are trying to work with, and they do have some means to work with the clients. They try to get them to modify. We have an arrears management program where they can really work with them, and if they make so many payments, they can forgive portions of those arrears. Plus, if non-custodial parents make payments for 12 months, because right now they get charged interest on those arrears as well. If they show good faith and can make payments for 12 months, they can stop the interest collecting. Because there's, when you're getting behind, to just add interest just puts you more behind. So there are a lot of incentives that they can do and put out there. But
Do they still have SHLF?
that's AMP. Yeah,
They've changed the name of it?
Yeah. Yeah, so they really do
Another
try to
acronym.
work with each person and with their situation and try to come up with really good alternatives and ways to get the non-custodial parents to pay. And that is also working with the custodial parent as well. Some of them work really well together, and they can come up with agreements to help get the non-custodial parent paying, because it is about supporting the kids. Now's a busy time. We have COLA. School's getting done, so a lot of kids emancipate, and it's tax time, so they're getting a lot of tax hits. So they're busy with phone calls, and this is really a busy time of year when you look at all 3 of those things happening. So, and the fact, like I said, they've just continued to maintain their levels as they know what they're doing, and they do it very well.
It's good.
Yeah.
All right.
Any questions from anyone? Good.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. They'll just stay.
Human Resources.
No.
Good morning, Commissioners, and happy
Morning.
St. Patrick's Day to you. have a very brief agenda this morning, and please note that the agenda has been modified as we are not prepared at this juncture to bring forth a recommendation for a jail hire. However, going down to the Human Services portion of the staffing agenda, we're recommending the acceptance of the resignation of Malika Eisberner. Am I saying her last name correctly? Yep. Eisberner, thank you, a social worker. She has submitted her resignation. She has an offer at another institution that is quite lucrative for her, as a step up in her career. And so her resignation would be effective March 25th, 2015.
Motion to accept Malika Eisberner's resignation.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, it's just kind of sad to lose her.
She's really good, yeah.
Yeah, she's very good.
All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. That motion carries.
And next, based upon your approval of the resignation of that position, we request to initiate a search for a full-time social worker.
Motion to search for a full-time social worker.
Second. I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion is carried.
Commissioners, that's all I have for you today, unless you have any other questions. Or any questions, I should say. Thank you.
I don't think I have anything.
Very much.
Consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Storley. Is there a second? Is there a second? Attorney Yant. I'm perplexed. I don't get a second. So no, we're not accepting consent agenda?
I suppose you could make a motion to table that until the following meeting,
Okay. If that motion would carry.
if that motion would carry.
Motion to approve until next meeting.
Is there a second?
Or I should say to table.
Table until next meeting.
Apologize. To table till next meeting.
I'll second that.
Second. Any discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there opposed?
Nay.
One opposed? Two opposed. I nay. It's a tie. Motion fails.
Consent agenda fails.
No.
Unfinished business. Highway Department? No recent meetings that I'm aware of, and I don't know of anything coming up right offhand either. Waiting for, and I don't believe there's anything new on the old jail that I'm aware of.
Nothing.
Steve, real quick on that. I was talking to Carol that you guys have the amortization schedule, but she said something about having another committee to talk about some more financial stuff. You know, has that gotten put in the works or not yet?
More financial stuff?
Yeah.
Like what?
I don't know. I just asked her about that. She just said that she didn't know if there was anything else coming or.
Oh, there was talk about a new building by the Houston County Ag Society at the fairgrounds, and that's out.
That's out?
Yeah, I found out yesterday that they're not going forward with that.
That's not the same one that they're talking about with the hog building for the fair.
Yes.
That's the same
That's
one. They're
right.
not going to do that anymore?
They're not going to do that, for sure not this year. They're going to tear down, I think there's a dangerous building.
Yeah.
They're going to tear it down and just put up a tent for the coming year.
Okay.
And then discussion again next year.
Okay. All right.
See where that goes.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Commissioner reports. Dana, would you like to start?
Yeah. Yesterday I attended a seminar put on by Tess on motivational speaker was here. It was a good morning, good speaker. I think everybody was there, enjoyed it.
I heard good comments.
Yep. And so I am.
Nothing as of right now.
Okay. Judy. Any new?
I just wanted to double check my schedule. I also attended the Rick Olson seminar, and it was very good, and I would really like to see us discuss it further as a board in strategic planning, there's a lot that we could talk about in this.
Okay,
That's all.
with full board probably
Right.
present, okay. And I had County Township Officers meeting last Thursday, and the focus of their meeting, I guess, mainly was on their Township Officers Annual Meeting. And let's see what else. And I attended Eichson City Council. That's it for me. Has everyone reviewed the claims, human services, and license center disbursements? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. That motion is carried. Okay, and we have a gambling permit request. Looks like an exempt one. It's a one-time
Is this your
raffle.
fundraising stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Motion to approve gambling permit for Ability Building Center.
Okay. Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Is there any further business to come before this meeting? I guess I have one thing. Next department head meeting is the 24th. That's next Thursday, or next Tuesday, right?
We have the joint board of health.
And the joint board of health next Tuesday.
That's right.
All right. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All of those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. We are adjourned.